Hey, so I walked into a grocery store yesterday, right? And right after I walk in, there's a guy who has a shopping cart filled with stuff in his shopping cart, and he just walks out the front door. Never went through the line, nothing. And then I see two of the managers heading out, and the main store manager, she tells the assistant manager, no, I got this. And she just walks out. She somehow gets the cart back and brings it back in. And then one of the other workers from the grocery store just yells out, "Loser!" And I was like, wow, that's crazy, man. I mean, I would never condone stealing or anything like that, but maybe you've ever been in a position where you needed a little bit of help. Anyways, yeah, so that happened, but yeah, grocery stores are crazy, man. Actually, a couple years ago, I was laid off. I applied for this particular grocery store, and I get in. I'm supposed to be there at a certain time. Of course, I'm on time. I didn't really want to apply for this grocery store job. I mean, I thought I would get a job at night stocking shelves. I get in, and pardon me, the assistant comes out and he's like, "Well, hey, did you talk to anybody?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I talked to the main store manager. I knew who she was. I let her know I was there for an interview." And he's just like, "Oh, okay." So he interviews me, takes me back to the little room. We talk. I worked for a grocery store, I don't know, 20 plus years ago as a little bag boy. Actually, they call him a courtesy clerk. That's the official name. You don't call them bag boys anymore. I think that's what they called them like in the 40s. But anyways, yeah, so I get through it or whatever. And, long story short, they never called me back. What are you going to do? Did I really want to work there? No, but I couldn't get a job back in the tech industry. And I was willing to apply. And after that point, every time I saw that assistant manager, I mean, he was a cool guy, but every time I saw him, he would just look at me and he would just kind of like look down, like he was like either sad or something. And I just wanted to get to the point where I could just be like, "Hey, pal, it's okay, man. You guys didn't hire me. I'm okay now, man. I got a job." But whenever I saw the main store manager, she would just look at me like she was bothered or upset. I don't know, maybe she felt like I ratted it out, like, "Hey, man, I talked to the main store manager. I don't know what she's doing. I mean, is she supposed to communicate to you? I mean, whatever." But yeah, so that's the thing, I think grocery stores are, I don't know if I would say it's like an easy job, I don't know if I would say it's an easy job because you just always have to deal with all different types of people, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes that could be, I can imagine that would be pretty challenging. But anyways, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Recently I was looking back to my previous episode on this podcast, and I was talking to one of my friends, good friend of mine. I was like, "Man, let me know how it is. Let me know what's going on. Give me some feedback." You know what I'm saying? "Give me some feedback on the episode." And he's like, well, to be honest, bro, it was a little cringe." And I'm like, "What do you mean cringe?" And he's like, like awkward, bro. And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, you're telling the story about how you meet this person that you worked with, and how you end up, you say that you wanted to like stand outside her house with a sign that says 'I know where you live.' Like, bro, are you like a stalker, bro?" And I'm like, "Man, it was a joke, man. It was a joke. If you don't know by now, you ain't never gonna know, player." If you don't know by now, you ain't never gonna know. And I mean, you don't take what I say seriously. Come on, man. Come on. That's ridiculous. But yeah, I think but anyway, so that's what his point was. It's like, well, what am I gonna do? What am I supposed to do, man? It's a podcast that's supposed to be about funny things. Of course, I never stood outside her house with the sign. Who do you think I am, man? But, what you gonna do? What you gonna do, But yeah, I'm trying to get back into the comedy game, you know what I'm saying? Trying to get these these comedy juices flowing. So I listened to a podcast recently, and this was actually about with a well-known, I'm not going to say who it was a well-known stand-up comedian. And he started sharing some stuff that I thought was pretty interesting, because the interviewer asked him, was like, well, do you have an inner voice? And he's like, oh yeah, I have an inner voice. And he's like, so what does that inner voice say? And he's like, well, it says, what are you doing on stage? What do you think you're doing? You know, you're just a writer pretending to be a stand-up stand-up comedian. And I was like, wow. It actually, to me, it was kind of cool because, like, the guy was really honest. Like I said, this is a well-known, very famous, very successful comedian, but he was really honest about, like, this inner voice. And, like, you know, sometimes I have this inner voice, and it's like, oh, you think you're funny? What makes you think you're funny? What makes you think you can start a podcast? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? I'm just doing this for fun. And that voice is just like, fun, huh? Man, you ain't even funny, boy. You ain't even funny. I remember one time I told a joke in public, and someone's like, did you just tell a joke? And I'm like, yeah. Did you tell a joke? What, am I not allowed to? What, only certain people are allowed to do that? Like, give me a break. What are you, the police? What are you, the joke police? Man, you gotta be kidding me, man. Come on, bruh. You gotta be kidding me. But anyways, so the interview was really cool. I've been listening to some other videos and podcasts. There's this other guy, he writes some cool stuff. He actually made this comment. He said, 90% of what you create is gonna be garbage. So he's like, basically you got to create that garbage, no matter what it is. Like, if it's like writing a story, in this case, writing jokes, writing concepts. So you got to get that stuff and start pumping it out. You can't just sit there and be like, well, I got a couple things written on the paper. How do I move forward from here? And his whole idea is that you got to just keep going. Kind of like Dory. Just keep swimming. Whatever she said in the movie. Good movie, by the way. Good movie. But yeah, so like I said, I'm trying to get those juices flowing. I had one of my other friends. He's like, hey man, you're pretty funny actually. And I'm like, well, that doesn't sound very convincing, bro. you're yeah. And he's like, nah, man, you're funny. You got to just get out there. You got to get out on stage. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I think you're right. I need to get on stage. I've been saying this since the beginning of January. I actually have some notebooks where I was looking at some stuff that I wrote down, like trying to come up with jokes and concepts like 2 years ago. I was like, dang, I was doing this 2 years ago? That's crazy, dog. But, I'm still going to keep going. I'm still going to keep writing. Still going to keep on coming up with ideas. And just keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? But, going back to that concept of like having an inner voice, like, it kind of reminds me of this idea of something that I've been learning about or hearing about, is like the whole imposter syndrome. Like, I have a YouTube channel, and there'd be times where I would make a video and I would like put a lot of effort into it. I would edit it. I would film it, do all that good stuff. And at the end, I'd just be like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? And I would just, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. I think it's the people who, you ever know somebody like who's really good at something, and you're like, oh man, that was awesome. That was an awesome painting that you came up with. That was an awesome painting that you created. And they'll be like, it's all right. And so I think that has to do with the inner voice. You know what I mean? I think it has to do with imposter syndrome. Like, I think I would feel like that. Honestly, I feel like that sometimes even in my job. Like sometimes I feel like, are these guys going to realize I don't know what I'm talking about? Like, when is that going to happen? But anyway, so I think it's all about, I think sometimes you got to like focus on it and maybe acknowledge it, but then just push forward anyways. I mean, I don't know. What kind of advice am I going to tell you? I've never actually been on stage, so but I do know that if the top dogs have this inner voice, or they maybe even feel like they were an imposter, then that means it happens to everybody, which means that everybody has the capability of doing whatever they want to do. And so to me, that sounds good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly, player. And yeah, so I want to talk about that. And then just want to switch it up to talk about one other thing is that movie BackRooms. Yeah, player. Who's ready for that BackRooms movie created by Kane Parsons? Well, he didn't create the whole concept of BackRooms, but he created a bunch of videos on YouTube. My youngest son got me into it, and I was like, I watched all the videos on YouTube, and the movie's actually out tonight, and I'm looking forward to it. Me and my sons are gonna go, and it's exactly my type of deal. You know what I'm saying? Psychological thriller. A little bit of horror, a little bit of suspense. I really hope it's gonna be good. I remember I used to watch movies with one of my friends when I was younger. We'd watch movies all the time, and we'd go in there and we'd be like, "Hey, yo, what up, dog?" And he'd be like, "What's cracking, dog?" And we'd be like, "Man, this movie about to be trash." I don't think we said trash back then, but we were like, this is going to be subpar. No, I'm just kidding. And we would try to convince ourselves that it was going to be bad to like psych ourselves out so that we wouldn't be disappointed, which is, I don't know, maybe that's a whole concept for a whole other episode. But anyways, I think that's pretty much all I got here today, but go back to my other friend, man, who used the cringe word on me. It's like, how you gonna make fun of my podcast, boy? You ain't even got no podcast, boy. You don't know how to make no videos. And something else I thought about, actually, I forgot, I want to talk about this. Going to stores, going to places in public, there are countless types of situations that you can run into that can be seen as awkward or stuff like that. Like, I went to the gas station recently and I parked in the stall, and of course I didn't look up to see what number I was at, and I was parked on the opposite side, so I was like, oh, I think I'm at 3. So I go to the cash register and I'm going to the guy and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, oh, then I'm looking back and I'm like, oh, is it 3? Yeah, let me get 25. Let me get 20. Is it 25 on 3? And he's just looking at me like, bro, you got anything cooking up in that brain of yours? And I'm just like looking at him and I'm like, okay, yeah, I see. I realize what's going on here. And he's like, look, man, you don't come here asking me questions. I'm supposed to ask you the question and you tell me what you want. Oh, man. That type of thing. What is this condition? Is it called, I think it's called agoraphobia, right? I don't know if that's even I don't know how common that is, to be honest. I remember there's a movie. Who was it that played in that movie? I think she played in, hold on. What was her name? Oh, man, I can't think of it. Sigourney Weaver, I think. I think she was in this movie where she had agoraphobia and she had a fear of, like, leaving her house. But I was like, that might not be that bad of a thing. Honestly, because you get to avoid all these possible awkward interactions, like the one that I talked about on my last episode where I ran into the lady who I worked with. She didn't remember my name. I remembered her name. I asked her where she lived. She got all scared. And anyways, that whole thing. It's funny. It was kind of funny. I went to a grocery store recently with my daughter, and sometimes I'll be like, hey, listen to my podcast and give me your feedback. And she's 11. Like, she laughs at pretty much all my jokes, which to me is like exactly what I need. You know what I'm saying? And she's going to get older, and one day she's going to be like, come on, Dad. Come on. And anyways, but we listened to the last episode. We walk into the grocery store. We're walking, and all of a sudden you see this lady go to this guy, and she goes, hey, Alan, hey, oh my gosh, you remember me? And he's like, I do. He didn't remember her. And me and my daughter just looked at each other like, we know what's going on here. We know exactly what be going on here. And I'm like, that's exactly what I talk about. She's like, yep. She's like, ain't that a shame? Now, she doesn't talk like that. And she doesn't sound like that. But that's pretty much all I got here for you guys today. Hey, if you're listening to this and you made it all the way here, which is probably impossible, please subscribe or follow me on podcasts or on YouTube. Take care. Hope you're doing well. I'm out of here.